Picture this. You're hundreds of feet underground. The air is cold, damp, and heavy in your lungs. Your headlamp carves a thin slice of light through the kind of darkness that doesn't exist anywhere else on Earth. And then you say it, quietly, almost to yourself. We should leave. And before the words even fade from the air, something in the dark whispers back, too late. Not your voice, not a reflection of your voice, something else. Tonight, we're going underground, into a cave system that a group of experienced explorers entered on a clear Saturday morning in October, and came out of 3 days later, fundamentally changed. Some of them won't talk about it. One of them still does. And what she describes doesn't have a clean explanation. Stay close. And whatever you do, don't speak too loudly. Her name was Dara Finch, 31 years old, geologist by training, caver by obsession. She had been underground more times than she could count. Narrow limestone passages in Kentucky, lava tubes in Iceland, flooded cave systems in Mexico that most people wouldn't enter with a full rescue team standing by. She wasn't the kind of person who scared easily. She wasn't the kind of person who scared at all, really. She would tell you that herself. Would have told you that before October. The cave system she and her team entered that weekend sits in a remote stretch of the Appalachians. I'm not going to name it, not because it's classified or protected, but because Dara asked me not to. She said, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't want anyone else going in there thinking it's a story. That detail alone should tell you something. There were 4 of them on the trip. Dara, her longtime caving partner Marcus, a geology PhD student named Priya, and a guy everyone called Reed, who had done 6 years of search and rescue and had the kind of calm that made other people feel safe. 4 experienced adults, proper gear, a mapped route, emergency contacts who knew their expected return window. Everything about the setup was professional. Everything about what followed was not. They entered at approximately 9:15 in the morning. The first few hours were unremarkable, even beautiful, in the way that experienced cavers describe deep cave systems. Massive calcite formations, underground streams so clear they looked fake, passages that twisted and narrowed and then opened without warning into chambers the size of small theaters, their ceilings lost somewhere above the reach of the headlamps. Dara described it as peaceful, the particular kind of quiet that only exists underground, where the surface world stops mattering entirely, where there's no weather, no traffic, no ambient hum of modern life, just rock and water and the sound of your own breathing. And then, around hour 4, Marcus said something that didn't register as strange at first. He was about 20 feet ahead, checking a narrow passage to the left of their main route. He called back, "Turn left, it opens up." Dara heard the echo come back a half-second later. "Turn back." She stopped. She told herself it was the acoustics. Cave systems do strange things with sound. Angles and hollow chambers and water surfaces can distort syllables, fold words back on themselves in ways that sound almost linguistic. She'd heard weird echoes before. She cataloged it as interesting and kept moving. Here's the thing about human psychology that makes what happened next so deeply unsettling. We are hardwired to trust echoes. From the moment we're old enough to shout into a canyon or a stairwell, we understand the rule intuitively. Same sound, slight delay, fading volume. It's one of the most predictable phenomena in the natural world. When that rule breaks, something deep in your brain doesn't just notice, it panics. They made camp in a large chamber about 6 hours in, right on schedule. Dinner was trail rations and bad instant coffee heated over a small camp stove. Reed told a story about a search and rescue job that had gone sideways in New Mexico. Priya was mapping the chamber walls with quiet focus. Marcus, who had been a little quieter than usual since the passage, turned in early. Dara stayed up an extra hour, updating her field notes by headlamp. And that's when she heard it the second time. She hadn't spoken. She was certain of that. She was writing, not talking, her lips pressed together in the particular concentration of someone trying to get their handwriting small enough to fit observations on the page. The chamber was silent, except for the faint drip of water somewhere to the east. Then, from somewhere deeper in the cave, from a passage they hadn't entered, from a direction that led only further underground, she heard a voice. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic. It was the exact volume and register of someone speaking at a normal conversational level from about 30 feet away. It said, "Turn back." She sat very still for a long moment. Then she woke up Marcus. Marcus, to his credit, didn't dismiss it. He also didn't panic. He stood at the mouth of the deeper passage with his headlamp aimed into the dark for several minutes, listening. Nothing. They did a sweep of the immediate area, checked that Priya and Reed were both accounted for and asleep, and eventually agreed, tentatively, rationally, that sound in cave systems can travel in deeply counterintuitive ways. There could be another passage connecting to a surface crack somewhere. Wind, animals, any number of explanations that didn't require anything unusual. They went back to sleep. They should have left in the morning. Day 2 was when the shape of things began to change. Not dramatically. That's the part that Dara comes back to again and again when she talks about it. It wasn't a monster. It wasn't a sound that couldn't have a rational explanation. It was the pattern, the way the anomalies kept lining up, the way what the cave said back kept being just slightly, precisely, meaningfully different from what they had said into it. Around mid-morning, Priya called out to Reed, who was scouting a side passage. "How far does it go?" The echo returned. "Far enough." Priya laughed. She thought Reed was playing a joke, throwing his voice, mimicking the echo timing. She turned around to look at him. Reed was 40 feet behind her. He hadn't spoken. The laughter stopped. Over the next 2 hours, they documented 7 more instances. Dara kept a log. She's a scientist. Documentation is reflex. Writing down exactly what was said and exactly what came back. She showed it to me. I've read it. And the consistency of it is what stays with me. Not the individual exchanges, but the logic threading through all of them. Every response was different from the original, and every response, without exception, was a warning. We're making good time. While you can. This passage looks stable. It won't. I think we're about 3 hours from the exit. You were. I want you to sit with that last one for a second, because read it again. Not you are, not you will be. You were, past tense, as if whatever was speaking already knew how the story ended. They made the decision to leave early at around 2 p.m. on day 2. It was Dara who said it out loud first. She put down her field notes, looked at Marcus across the camp stove, and said, "I think we should go." The echo came back in less than a second. Too late. Nobody laughed this time. They packed quickly, with the tight, controlled efficiency of people who have trained for high-stress situations and are now very much in one. Reed took point. Dara pulled up the rear. The exit route was clear on the map, a 6-hour journey back through passages they had already navigated, in a direction they knew. The cave had other ideas, or seemed to. 3 times in the first hour, they reached what should have been a familiar junction and found it subtly wrong. Not collapsed, not blocked, just different in the way that makes your hand reach for the map again, the way that plants a seed of doubt right in the center of your confidence. Dara is careful when she describes this part. She says she can't prove the cave changed. She says it's more likely they were disoriented, that stress affects perception, that memory of a route traversed once in a specific direction doesn't always translate cleanly to traveling it in reverse. She says all of that, and then she pauses. And then she says, "But the compass started behaving strangely, and we all saw that." The compass anomaly lasted approximately 40 minutes and covered 3 junctions. All 4 of them checked their compasses independently. Standard protocol: eliminate the possibility of equipment failure. All 4 showed the same thing: a slow, steady drift, the needle pulling slightly but consistently toward the deeper passages, away from the exit, toward wherever the voice had been coming from. It corrected itself. They found their route again. They kept moving, but the echoes kept coming, and something had shifted in them. In the first day, the voice, if you can call it that, had only responded to things they said. Called and response. Predictable in its unpredictability, if that makes sense. By the afternoon of day 2, it had stopped waiting for them to speak first. The first time it happened, Reed was navigating a low crawl, pulling his pack behind him, breathing hard with the effort. He hadn't said a word, and from behind them, from the direction they were leaving, they heard, "You left something behind." Reed stopped crawling. Priya, directly behind him, had to press herself against the rock to avoid running into him. She told Dara later, in the car ride home, that what scared her most wasn't the voice. It was that Reed, 6 years of search and rescue, the man with the unshakable calm, went completely still for 4 full seconds before he started moving again. She counted. 4 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but I want you to think about the last time something scared you badly enough that your body just stopped. Not froze in a movie way, stopped, because it was trying to decide whether to run or go back. That's what 4 seconds of stillness means in a moment like that. And Reed, the calmest person on that team, couldn't move for 4 of them. They made it out. I want to be clear about that. All 4 of them. No injuries beyond scraped knuckles and the particular exhaustion that comes from moving through cave systems under stress. They emerged just before 11 p.m. on day 2, a full day ahead of their return window, into cold October air and a sky absolutely crowded with stars. Dara sat down on the ground outside the cave mouth and didn't move for almost 20 minutes. She told me that what she remembers from that moment isn't relief. It's the sound of the wind in the trees and the way her brain kept trying to parse it, kept listening for the shape of words inside it, kept waiting for something to answer back. That reflex, she said, lasted for weeks. They never fully agreed on an explanation. Marcus landed on acoustics, complex, unmapped resonance chambers deep in the system, catching fragments of their speech and returning them in distorted forms that human pattern recognition assembled into language. He wrote 2 pages of notes on it and sent them to Dara. She read them. She didn't respond. Priya stopped caving entirely. She finished her PhD the following spring, took a position in surface geology, and hasn't been underground since. She didn't give a reason. She didn't need to. Reed, the last time Dara heard from him, had gone back. Not to that cave. She made him promise that. But to caving in general. Different systems, different states. Same quiet, same dark, same particular piece of the underground world. She said she was glad. She said it the way you say something when you're not entirely sure if you mean it. And Dara herself? She still has the log, the one she kept on day 2, documenting every exchange, every call, and every response. She's shared it with 3 people she trusts, including me. She's never published it, never posted it, never sent it to anyone who studies unexplained phenomena or paranormal acoustics, or whatever category you might try to file this under. I asked her why. She was quiet for a long moment, and then she said, "Because I don't want it to answer back." That's where Dara's story ends. At least, that's where she stops telling it. What she heard in that cave, whether it was acoustics or geology, or something that doesn't have a name in any field of study she's ever encountered, she can't tell you. She won't tell you because she genuinely doesn't know. And I think that's the part that stays with me most. Not the voices, not the compass, not the echo that spoke before she finished her sentence. It's that a woman who has spent her career in the business of explaining the earth, of finding the rational framework behind everything the ground does, came out of that cave and for the first time in her professional life, put something in a drawer and left it there. Some things aren't meant to be explained. Some passages aren't meant to be followed. And some silences, the deep ones, the underground ones, the ones that feel just a little too still, are better left unbroken. Don't answer back. And as always, stay safe in the dark. Sleep well, if you can.